So we're going to get started in a few minutes. We're going to let some people keep joining in. Some people are starting to pop up. So we'll give it a minute before Matt and I jump in and get started. Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's very nice to meet you. My name is Kate Navarro. I'm the director of admissions for our Master in Management or our Management Master's programs, and specifically the MMS GBS program, as well as the MAM program. And today I'm joined with my colleague, Matt Lassance, who is going to be doing this presentation with me.
Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Lassance. I'm the assistant director, working with Kate, especially for the MMS in GBS or Global Business and Society degrees. Excited to be here with everyone.
Great. Well, Matt is going to start off the presentation by covering all the basics or the most important things about the GBS program. And then I'll jump in and we'll be sure to leave some time at the end for any questions so you can have those answered live. I just want to shout out to Elena, our colleague in the back end, who's making her magic happen so we can have this recorded in this session ready to go for students who aren't able to join us. So with that, Matt, I'm going to get started and you can join.
Absolutely. So just to kind of kick us off, so what is the GBS program? We're going to talk about a number of different things today, but to kind of give you a quick synopsis. So it's a one-year degree program. It comes out to about 9 months, you'll see, but one-year degree program that's really customized by you and allows you the opportunity to choose a lot of the courses that you want to take that you feel are going to help you grow into the professional you want to be. We're going to talk a little bit more about the community and why we talk about joining a community of purpose, what all of that means, talk a little bit more about clubs, events, speakers, things going on across campus, and then, of course, the Yale University network and what all that entails. So let's dive into it. So why pursue the GBS? And this is a great question that a lot of people always ask us. You've gotten your MIM degree and now you're thinking about this, and it's really to build off of what you learned in your MIM program and really take that education to a global level. So many of our students come from Europe, Asia, different parts of North America, South America, maybe even Africa. And it's an opportunity to come to North America, come to New Haven, and really go two different directions. For each student, it's kind of personal and different. You might want to dive extraordinarily deep into something and kind of learn more about that specific field or that specific interest you have. So some of the topics that our students have been interested in recently, healthcare management, fintech, maybe diving into entrepreneurship, things like that, where you can really study and focus in on those topics to get you ready to tackle everything you're going to need to when you hit the professional setting. Flip side, there's a lot of opportunity to grow sort of in maybe soft skills or have a lot of breadth in your curriculum. So opportunities to explore new interests, new topics that maybe you discovered an interest for, but never really got to dive into it or explore it in your undergraduate or MIM degree program. So that might be art, drama, maybe history, different topics like that. And some of those may even just be looking at some of those classes as opportunities to grow your skills. So I always like to mention, our School of Drama is very well known. And it's something that we always tell students, if you're thinking about maybe presentation skills or some of those sort of professional skills and being able to talk to people, the drama school has some great classes that you can take advantage of to really refine those skills and set yourself up for success in the future. So talking a little bit more about this, and we really like to talk about the power of two when it comes to these degrees. So you're getting your MIM degree from great schools all around the world, and now you're adding Yale University, the Yale School of Management, and everything to it. So what does that get you? It really gets you the power of two. And what is that? Two degrees, two brands, two countries, two networks, and at the end, it's all happening in 2 years. So you have the opportunity to take advantage of all of this, come out with two amazing degrees from two world-renowned universities, do it within 2 years. And I think one of the biggest advantages is You've done it in two different countries, really globalized your education. But now not only do you have access to your MIM schools network and all of their resources, but you also gain access to Yale University and specifically the Yale School of Management's networks, resources, and everything sort of post graduation. So one of the biggest things, and we always like to dive into this a little bit, is sort of our mission here at the School of Management, and it's to educate leaders for business and society. It's something that from the dean all the way down to the last student that comes into the building every day or leaves the classroom every day, we want our students thinking about this and really, taking their classes with this sort of topic or goal in mind. And the reason for that is we want leaders that, when it comes to private, public, nonprofit, different industries, whether it be art, business, fintech, entrepreneurship, we want students thinking about the bigger picture. We don't want you just thinking about, well, how is this going to affect business, but also how are these things going to affect society? How am I going to, impact change positively or negatively? And really taking the initiative to think about topics that are going to affect us today, tomorrow, in the future, and how can we tackle those and hopefully come out on the positive side for both the business and for society as a whole. So what does your cohort here at Yale SOM look like, or what does Yale SOM look like as a whole? So there are a couple different groups of students here. So we have our MBA or our full-time MBA students. That makes up about 350 students each year. It's a 2-year MBA program. So about 700 students here. With that, we also have our EMBA program. That's the MBA for executives. I believe it's about 75 students each year. They typically come one weekend a month and join us here on campus. So you won't have as much interaction with them, but they're a great group of people and there are opportunities to interact with them. So definitely take advantage of that if you have the opportunity. With that, we also have our Master of Advanced Management or MAM program. This is one of our most global cohorts as well. They have completed their MBA degree and are now doing an additional year, tackling even more topics similar to yourself to really dive into a whole new area. Then we have your cohort, which is the Master in Management Studies or MMS degree students. As you can see, there's your cohort, the Global Business and Society group. With that, we also have a few other degrees that fall in this category: asset management, systemic risk, technology management, public education management. And then finally, we have our PhD students. So one of the great things, and the reason why we like to show you this sort of in this context, is you will have a few classes that we'll talk about in just a minute that are going to be specific to the GBS cohort. And you're going to have opportunities to really grow, interact with, and just feel the love from that cohort. But a lot of your classes are going to be with students from all of these different cohorts. And again, it's a great opportunity to really globalize your education with a lot of different students from different backgrounds, whether it be from different places around the world, different industries, different experience levels. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth professionally, personally, and just from learning, not just from professors, but also from these students that are just unbelievable and are going to hopefully be in the seats next to you throughout the years. So let's talk a little bit about the curriculum and what it all looks like. So as you can see, it's made up of a few different components. So you'll see 2 units of required courses, and that's going to be your course in Business and Government After Communism. With that, you also have 16 units of advanced management courses. As you can see up in the upper right, there are a couple different options there. I believe it's about 18 this year. Business ethics, consumer behavior, negotiations, game theory, I know are some of the popular ones that students lean into. But a lot of great opportunity there to kind of dive into different areas that you might be interested in. Then I think the best part and one of the great parts of this program, the flexibility and the opportunity to have 18 units of elective courses. With that, you have over 170 elective courses just here at the School of Management that you can choose from. It's a great opportunity to really dive into those topics or those areas that you want to refine or develop and grow in. With that said, you also have the opportunity to learn from professors at Yale's other 12 professional schools and the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences. We did the math for you. It's over 1,000 courses. It's a great opportunity. It can sometimes be scary, and this is where we definitely will talk about in the application stage of this, but definitely refine it down, find maybe 2 or 3 areas of interest and look at courses in those particular areas. That way, it doesn't seem as overwhelming and crazy when you see the number of courses, but there's a lot of opportunity to grow, develop, and this is why we talk about there is opportunity here to dive deep into areas that you're super interested in or to really round out your skill set and really develop a lot of unique skills throughout Yale University. And one other key component that we always mention, look into a class that's for you. You've got an opportunity to take classes at Yale University, the entire university. You've got some unbelievable professors, topics, areas of study. Take a class that is going to be for you and is an opportunity for you to explore something that maybe you've been interested in and haven't kind of delved into yet, or it's an area that, you're really interested in and Yale has a great course that might just, add to that interest or excitement for you. It's a great opportunity. Definitely take advantage of it if you have that opportunity. One of the other opportunities that we like to mention, the management science major, or sort of the STEM major, if you will. And it's a great opportunity for students interested in getting into a STEM designated career path down the road. So similar to sort of that last wheel, you're going to see your 2 units of required courses, which is your business and government after communism. Then you have your 16 units of advanced management courses. With this, you have 16 units of management science or STEM major courses. There are 26 electives that you can choose from to kind of fulfill those courses, but you have to pick 16 units of credits, and then you still have 2 units of truly elective courses across Yale. So maybe in this case, if you were interested, maybe those 2 units are for your fun course that's a little bit more for you. But it's definitely, an interesting opportunity for students. One of the additional benefits to this, or potential benefits, so normally with your degree, you would have a 1 year optional practical training or 1 year of OPT as an opportunity to work in the US. With this STEM major, there is potential for you to qualify for an additional 2 year STEM extension, giving you 3 years of work permission in the US after graduation. This is the first step in this process. You do need to have a job lined up. There's a few components to it, and you have to apply for it once you've graduated, and there's a few other steps. So it's something that is an opportunity. It's not guaranteed, but it's something that if you are interested in sort of a STEM career field, it might be a good opportunity for you to take advantage of. So we've talked a lot about the opportunities and the classes and whatnot. So what does a schedule look like for our students, maybe on a weekly basis? And we kind of tried to break one down for you just to get a little bit of a glimpse into it. So in purple, you're going to see your personal time. So every day, obviously, you're having lunch. You got to stay, fueled up, get some good nutrition in you. That way you're ready to study and take on everything. With that, you might take some opportunity to do some yoga, relax in the morning, maybe, hang out with some of your cohort or friends that you make here. There's opportunities in the evening as well. Maybe you take in a play at the Repertory Theater, maybe take in an art museum, or our GBS cohort is very tight knit. So oftentimes, you'll find them having dinners together or doing different things together after classes. So, we like to add that in. With that in green, you're going to see a couple meetings throughout the week. So maybe you have a group meeting for a class project or something. Maybe you wanted to meet with a professor, or obviously we're going to talk about clubs in a little bit. So maybe you've joined a club or two and your club meets on Wednesdays from 5 to 6. So you're going to see that in there as well. Classes. You'll notice that there's only classes on Monday through Thursday. Classes at SOM specifically are only Monday through Thursday, typically 2 times a week, unless they are a little bit longer. As you can see, global leadership there, or competitive strategy are only 1 time a week, but it's a 3 hour course in that case. So they're covering a lot during that one course. So Monday through Friday is for your coursework and some of that. What do you do on Friday? It's an opportunity to work on your career path and sort of what's next for you. Now, there are opportunities throughout the week as well. It's not just Fridays, but in Orange, you're going to see some of the different career events or activities going on. So maybe you meet with a career counselor, career officer during the week. And then Friday, maybe you take time to go to a workshop with them. They have opportunities to learn about career development, working on your resume, a number of things that I'll let Kate dive into. I don't want to take away from that in the later part of this. And then maybe in the afternoon, you're sitting down for some interviews and some opportunities to speak with recruiters about, what's going on. This is just an example. Your schedule may look very different from this, depending on how much you want to put in or how little you want to put in. But just to give you an idea of what your week might look like. And then Saturdays and Sundays, I will say, you have time to yourself. Definitely going to be studying, I'm sure, but also it might be an opportunity to take a train or a little trip up to Boston, New York, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C. are only a train ride away. So there's a lot of places that you can travel to, take something, over the weekend and just explore and have the opportunity to really take in everything in the Northeast and in the US potentially. With all that, the academic calendar for the year, as I mentioned earlier, it's a 1 year program. It comes out more like 9 months. But you start, or this year's cohort started in August. They started about partway through August on August 12th, and you'll come to campus for orientation. So it's a 2 week kind of quick opportunity to dive into some things, meet with career development office and a number of other departments here at Yale. Also to get to know your cohort, do some bonding with everybody and just get, integrated into life here at Yale. A couple different breaks or recesses throughout Global Network Week. We also have a couple recesses leading into November and then winter, of course. Spring classes come up. We do have another Global Network Week in March. And then commencement this year is May 19th. It flies by. A lot of our students can't believe that it's almost November and they've been here almost 3 months. I think it's been about 2.5 now. It flies by, but they are taking advantage of every second of it. And there's a lot of great opportunities across campus. And even during some of these recesses and things, during November specifically, I know we've got some great activities that sometimes will happen to make sure that students that maybe aren't going home still have the opportunity to engage, relax, hang out, be a part of the Yale community. So I'm going to hand it over to Kate to talk a little bit more about this year's cohort.
Great. Thanks a lot, Matt. So yes, I'd like to introduce you to our GBS class of 2025. Here you'll see a photo during orientation. So again, another reason that it's important to be here for mandatory orientation so you can make it into your class photo. There are 73 MIM graduates in this year's GBS class. And those 73 students come from 11 different MIM schools. And those schools, can be from the Global Network for Advanced Management or not. We're having students who are from various schools from all over the world. And so everyone is welcome so long as you have a MIM degree. These students have roughly about 14 months of average work experience. We do require students have at least 12 weeks of work experience up to 3 years. And so that, varies a lot. That's why that average is at about 14 months. The average age is 24 years old. That tends to stay pretty steady year after year. These students do, are at earlier stages in their careers following the MEM, their Master in Management program. We have 55% women. We're very proud of that statistic. And so we'd like to continue to see, roughly half and half in the class next year as well. 99% are international passport holders. It is not a requirement of the GBS program. So if you are a US citizen, you are more than welcome to come join our program. But what you can see is this is a very global cohort. A lot of these students have decided to take their MIM outside of their home country and are now coming to the GBS for maybe their third country. Or maybe this is their first time leaving their home country to come to the US to obtain their GBS degree. Regardless, it's a global group, a global program, and it's a great way to learn from peers from all over the world in one location for that year. And then lastly, these students represent 24 countries of citizenship. Another really great stat just to show how global they are, and how you can learn from so many different perspectives, right at your fingertips in your cohort. So hopefully you'll be interested in joining maybe the class of 2026 cohort that we're working on recruiting. So I would say the community at Yale SOM is one of our strongest suits. Yes, obviously we have amazing faculty members. That it goes without saying. Yale University is an amazing institution, but Yale SOM, our community is really at the heart of our school, and students are extremely active outside of the classroom. We have almost over 60 clubs, I think, and organizations. And so there are so many ways to get involved just in clubs. But I'd like to walk you through some of the other options too, just to showcase some of the things that are happening at SOM. Quite honestly, if I was to showcase everything, we'd be here for a very long time with a lot of slides. So we tried to put these into some of the most popular events. We do have some great speaker series on campus. There are various ones from dean's speaker events to colloquium speaker events to just community speaker events. Clubs will bring in speakers. We just recently welcomed Jen Wong, who was a Yale College graduate of '96. She's the COO of Reddit. That was a really great talk with Kyle Jensen. We, have CEOs and co-founders constantly. We had the CEO and co-founder of 23andMe. That was a really great talk. We also recently had the president of Boeing International. So just a few, people, I guess, or potential, speakers you could see on campus, and also that you could potentially meet and have lunch with and network with too. So sometimes speakers will also do something after their event. In the middle top, you'll see our Yale Harvard football game. This is a really fun way to get to know your classmates in a fun, environment. And so you'll see in the back, we have typically a large tent, a white tent, where we serve food and drinks before the Yale Harvard football game. Very strong rivalry between Yale and Harvard, as you can imagine. And so each year the football game switches either on Yale's campus or Harvard's campus, which, Boston isn't too far away if you want to go up there to root on the Bulldogs. But it's a really, American, I would say, way to enjoy an event, a tailgate, really fun, and just have a little, fun competitive spirit as well. So we have a lot of events at SOM. One of our recent events that was one of the clubs has put on. A lot of our events are put on by clubs, are student-led, which is a really fun, thing as well, was Fempire. This is a student-led conference, and it was really to showcase the empowerment of female leaders in business and society. Really cool. They had some great speakers come to campus. This is relatively new. I don't know how many years we're into this particular event, but another great way to get involved. Both females, males, everyone's welcome. It does not matter. We also, like I said, have a lot of Yale conferences. One of our major conferences is the Yale Philanthropy Conference. This, again, is student run, and so students can join. Typically, there's fees to join, but you have the opportunity to really meet with a bunch of speakers. And you could join one of these conferences by taking on a leadership role, helping run this conference as well. So lots of different ways for you to be involved in conferences. Another one that is really, I think, popular is an innovative summit. And I can only imagine we'll be having lots of AI conferences come up too, with that being such a popular topic. Then we have our SOM talent show. This is a really fun activity that I suggest everyone, whether you participate or go, you definitely need to go. Faculty even get involved. So they'll have faculty up on stage who are singing and dancing. And so it's just a really cool way to see kind of a different side of them. But our students are so talented, whether it's music or art or dance or really anything. Maybe you can do ventriloquism, who knows? You can do the talent show, and you can come show your cool talent to your classmates. Just another fun way to be part of the community. Lastly, we have our student club fair. This happens right after orientation, right at the beginning of classes. It's a great way to shop clubs because there are so many clubs at SOM. Like I said, over 60, it can be really hard to know which club you want to join. I mean, we have affinity clubs, social clubs, sports clubs, anything you can think of, there's a club for it. And you can join as many as you want to. So go to the club fair, shop around, go to each table. You can learn about what that club does, what the involvement is like. And that way you can really, plan out your schedule, as Matt was saying, to make sure you have enough time for everything you want to do. So let's talk a little bit about Yale University too, right? I just talked about SOM and how amazing our community is and everything we do there. You're also a Yale University student as a GBS student. You're not just an SOM student. And what that gives you is the amazing plethora of resources that Yale University has beyond just our network that everyone knows about. The amazing architecture, the historical buildings we have on campus. It's a great opportunity for you to come and see some great things. So let's talk through some fun pictures. We have our Beinecke Rare Book and Manuscript Library. This is a really amazing library. It has ancient pieces, as you can see in the middle. All these books are protected. You have to go into the basement, you check them out, they bring them to you. The books don't leave the library. You can see on the back, these walls in this library are actually made of marble. They were cut to a specific I guess, depth, width, so that they allow light in, but enough so that you can see, but not enough to harm the books. And so it actually doesn't allow UV rays in. So it's a really cool library to go and just really feel history and touch history too. We have some amazing galleries. We have our Yale Art Gallery. Definitely recommend. I feel like this actually goes untalked about enough. I go almost every year, honestly. We have pieces from Monet, Picasso. I mean, there are some amazing art pieces here that you should check out. Not only that, we have the Yale Center for British Art as well. So there's 2 art galleries, lots of different art, famous painters with their pieces here in a really cool way. Again, to showcase some of the amazing stuff we have here. We have our Yale Farm that's just downtown. You can go and you can help, you can harvest, you can do whatever you like, get your hands dirty. It's a really fun way just to connect with nature. It's Yale run. I believe that they also sometimes host dinners where they cook with what they've harvested and grown as well. So just another way to get involved. Up in the right-hand corner, you'll see our Sterling Memorial Library. This is really, I think, our major library that everyone talks about. But what you can see from this is how beautiful the library is. All of our libraries bring such history, and you really feel like you're in sometimes Harry Potter. That's constantly what we talk about. And depending on what MIM school you're from, you probably, have some great history there too. But you as a student at Yale have access to over a dozen of our libraries. There are so many libraries around campus. There's some hidden ones that are really cool you can check out as well. Payne Whitney Gymnasium, concerts, theaters, you have a planetarium. I mean, there are so many things at Yale University. Lastly, you'll see, students just enjoying some time on the Yale courtyard. You're constantly, able to meet new people, go sit down and chat with someone on a beautiful day. In the background, that's actually Sterling Memorial Library. It is supposed to look like a cathedral, and it does. And in the back, there's stacks of books. It's really amazing. It's, I think, very much a pinch me moment. I'm at Yale when you're downtown looking at some of these really great buildings. Okay, so we talked a lot about fun stuff. Let's dive a little bit into the careers and the career resources that you have at Yale SOM and Yale University as a GBS student. And Matt touched on these briefly. So at SOM, you have a lot of career resources. We do a ton of workshops, whether that's writing your resume, your cover letter, mock interviews, whatever it may be, lots of workshops on that. Crafting and telling your story, I think this is one of the most important workshops we have. The reason I'm saying that is because as a GBS student, coming in with a MIM degree isn't as well known in the US as it is in Europe or in Asia. And so sometimes it's a really great way to learn, how do I tell a recruiter my story, right? How do I tell them exactly what a MIM is in terms of how does it relate to an MBA, which is typically what a lot of our recruiters know, because that is what we have at our school. And so it's a really great way, a great resource for our career development office to help you sell yourself, which is always good. We have on-campus recruiting. You'll have access to a career database and also designated career support within the career development office. I cannot stress this enough. Make appointments with the career development office. Go in and talk to them on a weekly basis. They are there to help you. The more you interact with them, the more the likelier you are to have a job earlier in your studies, and maybe be able to, not be as stressed all the way throughout trying to find that position and be able to enjoy yourself a little bit more in the spring sometimes. But definitely utilize our career development office. I think that is something that is underutilized. And if you utilize it more, I promise you will be better off. Top industries that our GBS students go into, I think these are very typical for a business school: technology, government, consulting, finance, manufacturing. But what isn't shown is some of the other industries that our students go into that maybe aren't as popular, but are super diverse, whether that's entertainment, or we've had, curators at art galleries as well. We've had students go into law. The options are endless. And so don't feel like you need to be bucketed into a specific industry. Anything is an option here at Yale. Our students have very global careers. Some students do work in the US, although that is typically less. Most of the students in the GBS cohort return to their home country or go elsewhere. And so I think the best advice here is just have an open mind. The GBS program is going to give you a global career, and that might not mean in the US, that might mean elsewhere. And so the more open you are to different opportunities and different locations, I think the more opportunities you'll have at your fingertips. One last comment I'll make here is that we have some amazing recruiters come to campus. Just here you can see a couple significant names, and the list goes on. But we have worked really hard to build relationships with these recruiters, and our career development office has as well, to be able to put amazing SOM students in front of them. And so the more you can utilize the career development office, the more you can get in front of these companies to potentially have a job. Excuse me. So application pathways. How do I get to the GBS program? There are two different pathways to the GBS program. The first one is our standard application pathway. This is, you're in your MIM, you're graduated from your MIM. All you have to do is fill out a GBS application. There are 3 rounds. You fill it out, you submit the documents, and you get to the GBS program. Or maybe you are currently not in a MIM right now. Maybe you're in your undergrad and you're thinking about a MIM, you're exploring MIMs. Well, we have another pathway for you where you can actually apply a little bit earlier, prior to your MIM. So this is called the M2M pathway. And we have this pathway with 3 different schools: HQST, UBC, and HSA. So if you're thinking about one of these schools for your MIM, you could apply simultaneously with Yale while you're applying to your MIM through the M2M pathway and still get to the GBS program. My point here is wherever you're at in your journey, prior to your MIM, enrolled in your MIM, graduated from your MIM, you can come to Yale and do the GBS program. If you have questions around which pathway makes sense for you, because this can be confusing, you can write us and we'll talk specifically about your case, or in a little bit, we'll get to questions and Matt and I would be happy to talk more about that. Okay, so hopefully we have sold this program to you and you're so interested in joining us at Yale SOM. We would love to have you on campus. So let's talk a little bit about how to apply and what you need to apply. So we have a typical online application that many of you probably have or are filling out for your MIM program. We'll ask for transcripts. These are from degree granting institutions. So this is going to be from your undergrad as well as your MIM institution. If you're applying through M2M and you have not started your MIM, that's okay. You don't have to have a transcript for it yet. We'll understand that you're applying prior and we'll just evaluate your undergraduate transcripts at that time. We suggest a 1-page resume. That's always better than a 5-page resume. And so try and put everything concise into 1, maybe 2 pages. We do require a GMAT or GRE test score. For the GMAT, we take the regular GMAT, test that has been taken prior. We take the new GMAT focus, whatever it is, whichever test score you have, we'll take, or the GRE. But we do require a test score. There's no way to waive this requirement. So just take note of that. We do ask for 2 letters of recommendation. One is going to come from a professional source. So this is going to be from maybe a prior supervisor or someone you worked for, that we want to see how you were in the workplace. The second letter is actually going to be a letter of support from your dean or director of your MIM. If you don't know who that is at your school, you can write us. We know most of the, people who it should be from any particular school, or talk to your MIM director. If you're applying through M2M, you haven't started your MIM, you do not have a dean or director letter, that's okay. Instead, what you will do is just provide a second recommendation letter for us from anyone, whether that's professional or academic. We do have 3 essays. Don't be scared. They're short. They're roughly, I think, 250 words to 300 words. Those essays are really just a way for us to get to know you, your values, what you're hoping for from the GBS program. So look at those as an opportunity to tell us more about you, less about us, less about what you think we want to hear, more about you and how you fit into the program. I can't stress that enough. Then we do have a $95 application fee. Following that, you'll be prompted with video questions. The video questions. So everyone seems to be scared of these video questions, and I'll tell you a little bit more about them. And maybe scared isn't the right word, but intimidated maybe is a better word. And there's no need to be intimidated by them. Video questions are 3 questions you'll have to provide video recorded responses to, but you don't get a lot of time to prepare. So we'll pop up on screen, ask you a question. I think you get about 30 seconds to a minute to think of an answer, and then you get 30 seconds to a minute to actually respond. These questions have no preparation. They're random questions. The idea here is we're getting a chance to meet you, to know you, to see how you think on your toes, what you can come up with. There is absolutely no right answer to any of them. And that's what makes it fun. And when I say fun, we love this part of the application because us as a committee get to see you come to life off of paper. And it's a really great opportunity for you to show us your personality. Do not be scared. Do not be intimidated. Just be yourself. Lastly, we will do interviews by invitation. Those will happen over Zoom. We do not require you to come to New Haven, although we always welcome visitors. And those are about 30 minutes each. Our application's open. So if you're interested, open an application and start looking at it now. Get ready with those essays, start compiling your recommenders, whatever it is. The sooner you can start and put more time into it, you'll have that full application that really displays your best self. So we have 3 deadlines, January, February, and April. And so we still have plenty of time till January, although, as we know, time goes quite fast, and so it's going to creep up on us. But round 1 is reserved for students who are coming from Global Network for Advanced Management schools. Rounds 2 and round 3 are open to anyone, whether you're from a global network school or not. So just kind of wanted to lay that out. But if you're not from a global network school, like I said, you can still start your application now. You don't need to wait until February. Okay. So the burning question, how am I going to pay for this program on top of an already, relatively expensive MIM program as well? And so we do have funding resources, and we're looking and we are committed to helping each student really make the GBS program possible. Maybe that's through a tailored financial aid package, whatever it may be. We want to hear from you, and we will do what we can to really make this degree possible. And so we do have international loan providers. I know loans for school are typically a very much US centric thing, but some of our students do take advantage of our international loan provider. We have scholarships, and I should mention that all admitted students are automatically considered for a merit scholarship just based on your application. There's no additional documentations required. We will take that information in your application, we'll evaluate you for merit, and then you'll receive your merit scholarship in your admission letter. And those scholarships range anywhere from about 10,000 to 45, so roughly half of tuition. Why I'm saying that is so you can get a general sense of where your scholarship could be. We don't offer full ride scholarships, but we do go up to roughly half tuition. The rest of the funding then is up to you, as I mentioned, with an international loan provider, outside scholarships. I always encourage students to research scholarships in your home country, or with your home banks or whatever it may be. You might have better likelihood getting a scholarship through your home country than you do sometimes here in the US through some of the funding that we do have, which there are some more resources on our website to look at. Lastly, get an on-campus student job if you'd like. You can work, I think, roughly 20 hours a week. These are definitely not going to pay for your tuition, but they will help pay for some rent or, to help you go out with your friends or whatever it may be. It's also a nice way to see different parts of Yale because these on-campus student jobs can be super interesting. Maybe work in the library, putting books back, who knows? But the opportunities, there's lots of different opportunities there. Okay, with that, we're going to get over to questions. But before we do, I just want to let you know that we're actually going to be on the road. I'm going to be on the road next week. I'm going to be in Ireland at UCD Smurfit. I'm also going to be in London, heading up to Oxford and Cambridge as well. And so while that's not listed here, if you are in those areas, London, Cambridge, Oxford, Dublin, between the 31st and the 4th of November, reach out to me and let me know. I would love to meet with you in person. Maybe we can go have coffee, chat more about the GBS program. My colleague Evelyn's going to be in Hong Kong in November. So these are opportunities for us to potentially see you in person, in your home countries. So let us know. And then we do have some amazing events coming up that we would definitely recommend. I'd like to point out our alumni panel webinar coming up next week. This is going to be great. We have some amazing alumni coming back to talk about what they're doing now after the GBS program, how the GBS program complemented their MIM, how the GBS program and the CDO helped them get jobs. Really, really fun conversation. And you'll get to answer or ask some questions to them too. We have Q&A sessions every month. Join those. They're with me, Matt, and my colleague Evelyn, as well as Camino. It's a small gathering, so everyone will be on camera. You can have your questions answered live. It's just a fun way to chat. And then we also have an applications tips webinar coming up in December. Check that out. That's really great. We'll walk through each component of the application and give you tips along the way as to how to display your best self to us and hopefully get into the GBS program. So we have a few QR codes here so you can scan and easily get to our events to sign up. You can also scan to get to our website. On the bottom, you're going to see our email, gbs@yale.edu. Email us. We would be happy to hear from you, and we can answer specific questions to your specific case as well. And we'll get back to you, as soon as possible within roughly 24 hours. So please email us with any questions. With that, it is time for questions and we would love to hear from you. So please submit those through the Q&A. We'd be happy to answer them as well. So yeah, let's hear from you. And we had some pre-submitted questions too that we'll get to. Okay. Matt, I'm happy to take the first one. We have Flora has asked if they need to send their GRE official score through ETS. Yes, you can. So if you go into the application, you'll see the code you need. It's on our website too, on the FAQ page, the code where you can have it sent through ETS.
So along those lines, there's another question about sort of for the M2M pathway component of it. And so GRE or GMAT score is required with your application. You can always submit if you take an additional one. It's something that we'll consider because we don't give merit-based scholarship until sort of that year that you're enrolling. So let's say year one, in this case, let's say you're going to HSA, HKUST, or UBC, because those would be our partner schools. So while you're there, you won't know sort of your financial aid or scholarship, merit-based scholarship yet. So if you wanted to retake again to try and get a higher score or whatnot, we'll absolutely look at that. You can submit it to us, and then when it comes time to officially, enroll and check that you'll be joining us in August, then we will send out your scholarship package and all of that. But we can review that. But we do need, or it is required when you're submitting your application to have that included in it.
Great. And thank you, Elena, who posted our updated brochure in the chat. So if anyone wants to download that and look at that more, it has some great information in that. Thank you very much, Elena.
And then with that too, I'm seeing one, or I saw one earlier. We don't require any specific like English tests or anything like that. The GMAT GRE is the only test that we require here. So keep that in mind.
Great, Matt. Thanks for bringing that up. Yes, we do utilize the video questions to help evaluate English instead of having to use the TOEFL or IELTS. And so it's another unique way, another great way for you to display yourself. And yeah, tell it and be able to see how you communicate as well.
And because I know this question generally comes up, there is no minimum score that we require for GMAT or GRE. We say do your best with it, submit your best application. It's something we don't want. One, we don't have enough data because it is a more recent thing that was added, but we also don't want to dissuade anybody from applying who may put together a great resume or great application. Maybe they, have excellent grades and it was just that day. That's one component to your application. Just because you have a perfect score or whatever there, it's not going to make up for a lackluster application on all the other fronts that Kate had mentioned.
Thanks, Matt. I think that's super important. Something, we received some feedback, from applicants, from students, who exactly that. They don't feel like their GMAT or GRE score, is as strong as they would like it to be, and so they don't apply. And my best advice there is apply. It doesn't matter what your score is. There are so many other components of your application that make you amazing, not just necessarily your score.
So I'm seeing a question here also kind of about
Ah,
the test and submitting late. So depending on when it is, so let's say for ease of mind and because like the dates are a little bit fuzzy. So let's say you were submitting hypothetically round one, just the GBS, just to make this easy. So I believe it was January 6th
eight.
or 8th. I'm having a moment. But so you submit your application and everything. Let's say you took the test that day or you took the test the next week. Let us know that you're taking the test. And we can kind of discuss that because it might be a case by case basis. If you're taking the test a month later, then it might be best to submit your application in a later round. But if you're taking the test and it's January 5th and the application is due January 6th, we can definitely work with you and kind of put yours to the side and whatnot. But definitely reach out to us, let us know, and we can kind of discuss that further if there is any issues like that. But there's definitely some time between now and sort of that round one deadline, or depending on if you're looking at M2M programs specifically, between round two, three, and for HSA and HKUST, round four.
Thanks, Matt. But yes, it is important. You will not have your application evaluated without a score. So just keep that in mind.
And one of the things too, just to throw this out there, because I think it's always important, whether you're looking M2M or GBS, I think this probably goes a little bit more for GBS, but I think it's always important if you're looking to submit your application, I would recommend starting the application, open it, take a look at all the components of it. Start working on your essays. Start thinking about what those topics or, what the questions are and what you want to answer, how you want to answer. Work on your resume. It gives you time to reach out to your dean or director or, to that professional reference that you really want to write a great reference for you. Take the time to do that. I believe it was December 9th is our app tips webinar. Come join us for that. Take the time to really listen. You may get nothing out of it. You may feel like, oh, I didn't get anything, that was useful. Great. Maybe your application is perfect and ready to submit. But for many people, it's an opportunity to listen, take it in. Maybe you'll get a tip or a pointer. Or maybe there's something that you'll think about from that webinar. And it's an opportunity to go back, reflect honestly about your application, and still have about a month to kind of refine anything and just make sure that if you are going to submit in round one, you feel really great about that application you're about to submit. Or, it gives you about 2 months, I believe, to kind of do what you need to do to make sure that your application is ready for round two when it's open to everybody, not just GNAM school students. So just something to think about. I definitely recommend coming to it. I think there's always something to be learned there. I know myself and I'm sure Kate, we chime in with a lot of our own little tips or tricks or things that, we've kind of picked up on, hints. So it's a great opportunity to learn a little bit more. And if you honestly reflect on your application, I think there's a lot of opportunity to really feel great about your application coming out of it.
That's great advice, Matt. That's why we have these webinars. Yes. I love that you said you might not get anything from it because you have a perfect application. But the idea is, for us to be able to really help you along. We don't want this to be a hard process for everyone. This isn't, there are no tricks within the application process. We want you to display your best self. And so hopefully we can help show you what we're looking for so that can happen. And hopefully the GBS program is then a possibility for you. We have a question from Gemma. I think I was actually emailing with you, Gemma. So she's an M2M applicant. So thanks for answering this question, who came in, I believe, through ASHA, if I remember, in round one. So the way M2M applications work, I think this is helpful for people, is if you're applying through HQST in Hong Kong or ASHA Paris in Paris, your application to the MIM will actually be transferred to us. At that time, Yale will then reach out to you for additional documents. If you're applying through M2M with UBC, you actually have to start two applications, one with UBC and one with Yale. So depending on your pathway with M2M, it's a little different. If you have questions, please write us before you start any applications so we can make sure that you're doing it the right way. But Gemma, to your question, yes, once you get the Yale requirements, it's going to ask you to complete a couple forms, and then you have to pay the fee in order to get to the Kira questions. So technically, although you submit your application and pay the fee, it's not done until the Kira questions are done. And so we'll ask you to complete the requirements, pay the fee, do the Kira video questions, all before the deadline that we give for you in that specific round. Gemma, I hope that helps answer your question. Please feel free to reach out to us with any others. We're happy to help you.
So I'm seeing a question here about talking with current students or alumni and opportunities to visit campus. So definitely, if you're interested in stopping by campus, we'd love to show you, give you a little bit of a tour of the SOM building, Evans Hall, and talk a little bit more about your interest in the program. There are opportunities across campus to kind of tour, some great spots in New Haven as well to kind of check out while you're here. Definitely something if you're interested in, the program or interested in Yale, definitely let us know that you're going to be in the area. We're happy to connect and see if we can, put something together. And as for connecting with students or potentially, chatting with some people in the program, definitely opportunities there. If you go to our website, I believe it's under the first tab, you'll see admissions ambassadors. And we have a number of great ambassadors this year that are happy to connect with you. Their emails should be linked right in their profiles. So definitely you can sort it by school, by, region, all of those sorts of things. Connect with them. A lot of people that have come through the program or have had successful applications have said they connected with current students or alumni and really talked to them, really figured out what it was that, I guess I'll say, made a great student or made a great application. They really learned more about the program and were able to display that in their application. It didn't just feel like I'm interested in Yale, but it felt like I'm interested in these components of this degree and how it's going to help me grow personally, professionally. And a lot of them really mentioned just how much the ambassadors or the students that they talked to really helped kind of shine light on different things and different topics that they were interested in.
Thanks for that, Matt. I think that's super helpful. I would encourage that too. It's never too early to network. We have another great question from M2M. M2M can be complicated, so I'm actually glad people are asking these questions. This is someone asking about applying through HQST. So yes, 3 pathways, they're all different, right? And so this question is in regards, should we talk about Yale in our essay with HQST, or should we leave that for the Yale essay later? I think that's really up to you. And why I say that is because, it might be great for you to work Yale into your HQST essay to show how it's going to complement what you're doing at HQST and why M2M makes sense for you, HQST for 1 year and then directly over to Yale afterwards. Not required whatsoever. As an HQST applicant, you will write essays for us. And so you'll have a chance to talk more directly about Yale, the impact, that Yale will have on you and whatnot. So completely up to you, no requirement there. But you'll have the opportunity to talk about Yale in our essays. Now with ASHA, I just want to mention this. ASHA, you will be writing essays and you will have a chance to talk about Yale in those. And so you won't be writing our essays. So again, depending on the school, it's a little bit different. One last thing I'll say there is you can apply to multiple schools through M2M. with Yale. So say you want to apply to HQST, HSA, and UBC with Yale, that's possible. Or you could just do HSA and UBC in Yale. Totally possible as well. You just need to apply in the same round. And so all of our rounds are different, and we'll work with you because the dates aren't going to line up perfectly. But write us, let us know you're going to be a dual applicant to multiple programs. We'll put a note on your file, and it's definitely possible. We have another question about M2M. Our admission decision listed in the M2M website, the dates we expect to hear back from Yale and HQST, for example. They are. So we have our deadlines listed. We also have when you should hear your decisions. And then I believe we put our enrollment deadlines too. So you know when you need to actually commit to us. I don't have the website up right in front of me, but maybe Elena, if you could help us out and work your magic in the chat, maybe you can put in the M2M website for GBS so people know where to go to get all those deadlines and dates. Sorry to put you on the spot, Elena. I'll give you a minute to post that in the chat, but thank you.
So a great follow-up question. When is the best time to apply, or what round is there an advantage? Yes and no. There is, you can apply in any round and there's an opportunity for you to gain entrance to both the M2M program of your choice as well as Yale University. The advantage I would say is if you're, and this is more so GBS specific than probably M2, or it could be M2M. You have more time to figure out, okay, where am I going to live? What am I going to be doing? And kind of figuring out the details, especially with visa things and some of that stuff that can sometimes take a little bit of extra time. Applying in round, 1, 2 might give you a little bit more time to kind of work on those details. And a lot of those details, you will get information from especially Yale about, housing or different things like that. You'll be able to connect with current students and kind of learn more. But that's not to say, in round 3, we've had students apply at 11:59 p.m. of round 3, or I guess in some cases round 4. We would not recommend doing that, but they still got admitted. So it can be done. They were able to come here and join us. Try not to do it if you can, because it'll, saves everybody a little bit of stress. But it's definitely, I would say the advantage is really, it gives you more time to put the pieces in place so that you have an easy transition to, your year 1 university or to Yale University, depending on which pathway you're looking to take. But scholarship wise, admission wise, all of that, you have the same opportunity to be admitted, whether it's round 1, 2, 3 for GBS or 1, 2, 3 UBC, 1, 2, 3, 4 HSA, HKUST, M2M. So just keep that in mind as you're going through it. Make sure you're putting together your best application. But, if you're thinking, it might alleviate some stress, it's there to think about.
Great. Well, we are coming to the end of our presentation. And so I just want to thank everyone for spending time with us today, sending us your questions. Please reach out to us, gbs@yale.edu. Matt and I would love to hear from you. Our colleagues would too. We'd be happy to connect over phone, over Zoom, or in person if you're going to be, like Matt said, on campus. We don't get that often, but if you are here, we'd be happy to welcome you and set up a day of some activities. So with that, hopefully you'll be joining us at some other webinars we'll be hosting in the next couple of months. Thank you all so much and looking forward to hopefully connecting with you soon.